Welcome to my channel. Today, you'll see a story about a guy who would rather become a vegetable than kick the bucket. This is going to be a laugh riot. Good-hearted Camilla immediately agreed and arranged for the surgery, because when a patient asks for something, even House can't say no. But at the crucial moment, House suddenly had a brilliant idea. Since Fu Man got infected after just one visit, there must be some little critters nearby. If a sick critter is found for biopsy, they could determine his illness cause, sparing Fu Man's surgical risk. In the end, Camilla joyfully gave House an hour to find a solution while Fu Man was prepped for surgery. If House didn't find the cause in that hour, she'd go ahead with a lumber pump. House wasted no time and dashed over to Guy's house, where he spotted a blind pigeon on the balcony. But House was a bit clumsy on his feet, and trying to catch a flying pigeon was a tall order, so he helplessly watched it fly away like watching his dreams go up in smoke. He inadvertently wandered into the guy's plant sanctuary, and upon seeing the plants, he had a hunch. Sure enough, he found a stinky pull-up, but after testing, he found amoebas floating and reported to Camilla, who already knew. She feared Fu Man wouldn't last an hour. So, she had just done a lumbar puncture, finding amoebas. After treatment, Fu Man was finally resurrected. However, the surgery did seem to scramble his brains a bit. The drunken guy returned home to a scene that could only be described as a horror movie. His wife was lying unconscious in the bathtub, twitching like she was auditioning for a horror flick. He tried to pull her out, but didn't realize the sun was so. He frantically called 120, then caught his breath, but his wife started convulsing again in the hospital. Suddenly, she sat up, her body stiff as a board, scaring herself into screaming, as though her body was suddenly on a holiday. The doctors were skeptical of her bizarre symptoms. After treatment, she recovered, yet no abnormalities were found in all tests. Meanwhile, in the baby ward, a baby who had been fighting for its life suddenly plummeted in oxygen levels. The doctors quickly grabbed a syringe and jabbed it into the baby's chest. With air escaping, the little one's lung function slowly bounced back. With this happening, it was clear the baby's lungs had issues, but after a long observation, nothing else seemed to happen. Seeing her husband bring the baby, guilt filled her face as she kissed the child. The doctors outside were moved by the heartwarming scene, unaware. But the woman was just putting on a sweet facade. As House prepared to discharge them, he hadn't even stepped into the room when faint baby cries reached his ears. Realizing something was wrong, he ditched his cane and dashed in, only to find his wife pinning a pillow over their son's head. She was trying to smother him. And although the doctors intervened just in time, House found the baby completely unconscious when he checked. He began CPR while dialing for help, but even as the baby was whisked off to ICU, the father refused to believe his wife could hurt their flesh and blood, until the wife finally confessed she had a voice in her head telling her to kill their son. She was teetering on the edge of a breakdown and had nearly drowned him in the bathtub before. Her epileptic seizure midway prevented completion. House suspected neurological disorder. So he had his team hook her up to an ED while flashing lights at her. If she really was having a neurological episode, her brain activity would speed up. If not, she was faking it but after a while, the woman's EEG was as flat as a pancake, and the doctors thought she was just faking it. Just when the white coats thought she was fine, strange things began to unfold. Her EEG not only didn't pick up speed, it was doing the slow dance, her hands twitching involuntarily while her lips kept rehearsing breathing silently. House concluded she was suffering from a lack of hydrochloric acid, causing her neurological issues. But what was causing her hydrochloric acid deficiency? Meanwhile, the rescue team was still trying to save the baby whose kidneys were in bad shape and desperately needed dialysis, but they were only half. Alarms blared from his shoulder due to high calcium, causing cardiac failure. Despite meds, doctors couldn't save him. This innocent life slipped away. On learning it, the mum wept in guilt, her condition worsening and vomiting blood. Due to hydrochloric acid deficiency, the baby couldn't absorb medication and passed away. Suddenly, House had a light bulb moment and told the father the baby might have the same illness as the mother, and they needed an autopsy to find out. But to his shock, the father flat out refused. He would never allow an autopsy of his son to save the person who killed him. House snapped, "You're the villain. If you spent time with family instead of drowning in booze, none of this would have happened." Eventually, the father agreed to the autopsy. They found atrophy in the kid's intestinal villi. House immediately diagnosed celiac disease. This condition leads to malabsorption of nutrients, including medications. The mom had the same issue, and with the mounting stress, postpartum depression, and her husband's drinking, it drove her to a mental breakdown. A team member questioned, why were their blood calcium levels high despite malnutrition from celiac disease? Wilson explained, celiac disease may cause gastric mucosal cancer, elevating blood calcium. Tests confirmed her diagnosis, though cure was still possible. Yet she chose to forego treatment, indirectly causing her child's death and deep guilt. Now, she longs to join her son, and House respects her decision. When the man reached his wife's hospital room, he didn't urge treatment. He said if she met their son in the afterlife, he hoped she'd say, "I'm sorry, kiddo." However, in a bizarre twist, a guy named Hai won his match, but instead of celebrating, when his opponent tried to shake his hand, he picked up a timer and smashed it over the guy's. Even worse, he flipped the table, pinned the guy down, and repeatedly smacked him with the timer until the poor dude was a bloody pulp. People finally came to their senses, pulled him away, ending the ridiculous violence. But as they checked on the opponent's injuries, something strange happened. In a twist, the bully was holding his own head tightly, and even at the hospital, he was still a handful. The doctor just wanted to run some tests, but the kid unleashed a tirade against the doctor's whole family. The doctor was speechless, and his mom told him to shut up. Little did his mom know, she also got a good earful. The doctors suspected post-traumatic headaches, but then something unexpected happened. The doctor administered a blood diluent and magnetic pulses, but it didn't ease the boy's pain. The boy even told Fu Man his fingers hurt so much he couldn't bend them, but Fu Man thought he was just sore from the fight, so he brushed it off. So, he gave him a stronger treatment, a lethal injection containing a substance that would stimulate his brain to relieve his pain.